Yeah, it looks like the bike rack did not survive. But I still have that spare thing in the front. Yes. So I can fix this.
That's a good one.
Hey everyone, I'm crouching down next to the truck because it's really windy today. We are near Sugar Creek, Ohio. Our camper's getting worked on. We kind of uncovered a problem today. This morning when we were dropping the camper off, we had to take the bike rack off, and I noticed that there's an upright support, I'll show you in a second, that broke on the bike rack. So I need to replace it. Luckily I have a spare, and I'll explain why in a minute. So let me show you what's actually wrong with it right now. This is the bike rack. And it's super windy, so I apologize for any wind noise. This piece, which is the upright that clamps onto the tire, on this side, snapped off. And this is what holds my bike. This is the repair that I did months ago, and it's been holding up very well. That has not. And the other issue that I've run into is this mechanism that you pull out to let this tilt back, which we never do, has worn out to the point that as I was driving down the road, this let go and the bike's kept tilting back. So as a temporary fix, all I did is put a zip tie, and it's been good for the last about 3,500 miles. I don't like this tilting mechanism. I think I want to set up without it, and everything else has held up pretty well. All this stuff works fine, and I'm going to be able to put this back together and make it work. But this is about 35,000 miles of full-time use, and I don't think it's going to last. So I have some other products that I'm going to try to put together. It's going to take a little time. This will get us, I don't know, many thousands of miles more. But I do see it just not being kind of the ultimate solution for us. For now, I'm going to fix this, and then we'll come up with a new solution in the future. Over the summer, I did a video about our bike rack issue. The first thing was that it cracked, and I'll leave a link to it up here. It's held up pretty well. It was over the last, I would say, month that I really started having more problems with it. I think the wear on it just got to the point that it was starting to let go. Again, it's holding together structurally, but the bikes keep tilting back without the zip tie. And then on our last, probably the last 1,000 miles, I don't know when that upright section broke, but the last 1,000 miles or so, I think, is when it happened, because there was quite a bit of chafing where the bikes were rubbing against each other. When that originally broke, the cross member that got replaced by warranty from RockyMounts, I kept. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just felt like with the problems with the bike rack, and I know it was going to get beat up, having a spare would be good. The spare does have, the bottom part is broken, but it does have a good upright. So I have a usable part that I can at least get, you know, from Ohio back to New Hampshire, where hopefully I can order some new parts. It's spent the last, I don't know, 20,000 miles riding up here. I've been holding it down with these zip ties. So I'm gonna take this and remove the old one and put this on. That will at least let me get the bike put back on. Alright, so this brings me back to the original problem that we had. These, whatever we call them, these nuts that are welded inside, this let go and this cracked. You can see the fatigue marks. In the intervening time, that happened again, and that's when I put the U-bolts on. Again, in that previous video, I went over that. So of course it was buried, but years ago, I got this Cobalt tool set, and it's super useful. It allows you to pass through, I don't know what it's called, we'll see, an access socket set. I often deal with threaded rod, and this really makes it easy to use. It's also kind of universal. It's metric and SAE. That is too big. Too small. I'll find the Goldilocks in here somewhere. There we go. So it does this, and it lets you go right through, like that. And for those of you wondering, I do have a cordless impact gun, but I don't have sockets deep enough to do this. That's why I have to do it by hand. So we're right in the heart of Amish country, and there's horse and buggies and bicycles everywhere. It's actually pretty cool. All right, so that's done. There's still the Allen bolts that I have to remove. This had cracked. There's a crack forming here because the U-bolts transfer all of the load in close to the weld, but it's starting to rip the steel here. So I just don't think this bike rack's gonna last. Let me also take this apart. I'm gonna try to show you what's happening with this. This locking mechanism comes up and then pops into place. But what was happening is as it vibrates over time, it was backing out and then it was dropping all by itself. So I put that zip tie in there to stop it from backing out, which worked pretty well. Yeah, this rear mount just takes all the abuse, even though it's closest to the vehicle. This one, which carries Sasha's bike, is holding up much better. I just have a fat, heavy bike. All right, so those are connected, and now I'm gonna put the U-bolts back on. That's what does the bulk of the work. All right, so that's tightened up. I just have to transfer, I don't know what they call it, like an extension strap. This is for my fat tires. Like that. So Amish tractor, Amish bicycle. I've noticed they use a lot of e-bikes. It's pretty cool. We are in Walnut Creek. So in my last video about this bike rack, I said a lot about how much I like it. I still think it's a very high quality bike rack. I really like it. It works very well, especially compared to some of the other ones that we tried. But I think just for my personal application, the miles that we put on, the places we use it, and the fact that we're using an extension, those hitch extensions really amplify the forces on the bike rack. So if you're gonna be like weekend camping occasionally, or even just like a month on the road and then maybe, 11 months off the road, just part-time travel, I think it's great. If you're gonna use it on a vehicle, like a van that doesn't have an extension, it's perfect. I think if you have a truck camper and you're gonna have it on like a 24-inch or more extension, I think most of the stress doesn't come from driving off-road. That does add to it, but it's on the highway, over the bumps. That's when I notice it really whipping back and forth. The smaller vibrations that you get off-road, like the rattling back and forth, I don't think are the major issue, because what I'm seeing for damage is it's the back and forth, which would be front to back, not side to side, but front to back on the truck. And that is caused from the amplification of the forces from the rear axle going all the way through the bed of the truck to the hitch extension, all the way out to the bike rack. And it forces it to slam back and forth. I see it all the time in the backup camera. I don't know. I mean, maybe I will try to keep it. I got 40,000 miles out of it, or 35,000 miles out of it. Maybe I can get another 20 or 30,000 out of it. I might try to salvage it since it's, we already own it, and just weld it up, add some brackets. The thrifty side of me wants to just keep it and weld it up and see how many miles I can get out of it. Hey guys, we've been back in New Hampshire for a few weeks now, and we've gotten a lot of stuff done, including getting the bike rack fixed. So rather than replace it, I brought it to a friend who has a nice shop and a welder, and he was able to help me out with getting it kind of fixed up. So let me show you what we did. Basically, we welded some new washers onto the side because these holes had been elongated. We also added some washers on the inside because those had been worn out. We re-welded this bracket here where it was cracking. That was pretty much it. Just welded up the spots that were really worn out. Added a nice heavy bead right inside of here. We used an extra heavy duty zip tie. We looked at all of this to see if we could fix it, and aside from welding it solid, which I don't want to do, we just decided to put a heavy duty zip tie on it. If in the future this starts to become more of a problem, what I'm going to do is remove this bar, and I'll put a bolt through it, like right through here, and that'll hold it in place. I may actually replace this piece with a bolt. Got some motorcycles in the distance. I'm gonna see how many more miles we can get out of it before it completely falls apart. I mean, the main structural pieces on it, the beams and stuff, are solid. It was just getting really worn out. So overall, I still think this is a really good bike rack. I think we're just pushing it to its limits. 37,000 miles of full-time use is a lot to ask of a bike rack hauling e-bikes. We're right up against the bike rack's maximum load capacity, and it's still held up pretty well. So a few repairs, a little bit of welding, and I think it's good. If you're looking for my review on this, I would say if you're doing anything less than full-time travel with e-bikes, it's perfect. It's really, really good. I think in the future, if it continues to crack and fatigue and break on me, I'm gonna start looking at other options. I have a few in mind, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger on anything because, hey, we just got it fixed. So I might as well see how long it lasts. What do you guys think will be the next thing to break on this? Let me know down in the comments. So that's all I have to say on that subject for now. If you found this video helpful or informative, please give it a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our future videos. And you can click the little bell icon so that you're always notified when we post something new. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!